Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So soon. It's only been a week.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant so soon because I just quickly hit record and just got it fired up.
No, I've started doing those short, quick intros where suddenly you're just going, because when I try and do that whole throw labels around and go, we've got such and such here from such and such, and here's a such and such, it's just too fake, and I can see the awkwardness in myself. It's
a weird thing to just fire away and just do like straight away, because it's like there's no talking points.
Yeah,
and it's like awkward for me to say start it off by you knowing that I want you to give yourself an introduction, basically. But it's like there's no point, because it's like, how can I put it? Let's say you got viewers that know who you are, and I've got people that know who I am. Like if the person comes on and just starts spitting out their background and all this, like it gets boring, it's repetitive. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So it's like, like if you go and watch specific people on YouTube and they back to back, you're like the first 15 minutes, 10 minutes, we already know, we know your story, man. Yeah. Like just come in and just start dropping some truth bombs or something.
No, it's true. It's and it's funny because I kind of think to mainstream media, and maybe that's why it's dying, because people like just that authentic conversation rather than structured. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Talking where are you from? Where you've told them what's going to happen. And
do you know on mainstream media as well? If you go and look at the project, like Channel 10's got their own project page on YouTube, and they only get like 200, 300 views. No one's watching it. They got like 10,000 subscribers. And you just go to like, a pair of like some gamers or stuff on YouTube, and they got like millions and millions and millions of followers. So no one's watching mainstream.
That's amazing.
Media anymore. Yeah.
It's a transfer of power.
But what were you saying about the channeling the book? You were saying about...
Oh no. So we were talking about that interview that I've got an interview that is currently...
It's on now?
Starting in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I kind of messed up that scheduling, but that's okay, because normally I jump in the chat and do my thing.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
So is it a live chat or just a...
yeah, it's a live chat. So you do a premiere. I do a premiere on Facebook and YouTube.
Should we see what...
And that's...
should we see if anyone's trying to talk to you? Quick communicate to them.
They'll talk amongst themselves, but normally I jump in and say thanks for watching and all that. Yeah. But so like this interview's with a woman, perfectly normal, articulate, very intelligent woman from the UK who channels horses. She has a very special spiritual relationship with those animals. And I had her on because her latest book is called The Healing Language of Horses. And I've heard some excerpts from it.
You read it?
No? And I've only heard excerpts. It gets released on the 1st of June, I think. Yeah. And in those excerpts, it's very... sort of straight to the point wisdom. So regardless of where it came from, like
so she taps into horses.
Yeah. Yeah. So part of her work is, she came from a family that were into polo and things like that. So using horses for entertainment and sport and things like that. Yeah. And she started to get into the welfare side of it. Yeah. And then she started to realize how...
So like taking care of them and stuff? Or?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Well,
yeah. And then she worked with certain charitable organizations that do this stuff. And she went from coming from a family that does that to there's something wrong here. The animals are getting hurt and injured, and started working with that. So she got into osteopathy and sort of like energy healing of horses. And then one day she started to realize that she was having...
So she wrote the book from tapping into them.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Now I gotcha. Yeah. I was trying to...
So it's really fascinating. And I've known her for a little while. Like she's the real deal. There's no...
Yeah. So did you want to... did you want to do a little bit of an introduction of yourself and your and out? Did you do much last week when you were on?
No, I think
I had Nick on last week with Anthony, and the three of us got talking. I think
2 hours and 20 minutes later.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd get Nick on and do a one-on-one and find out what what he's all about and what he's into. And I've got a couple of questions that I wrote down somewhere in that text, in the text.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, look, fire away. Let us know what you're all about.
Yeah. So I have a podcast called Om and Alpha, and for the most part, I'm trying to interview men regarding, maybe it's just their spiritual journey, or they might be a male that practices some sort of modality, healing or something like that. So that revolves around all that. I do interview women as well, but it's kind of like bridging that gap between spirituality and masculinity. I kind of view it as a gateway drug to people coming into it. And then I've also got the Conscious Man Project, which recently started.
Yeah.
And that's we're building spaces and systems that support men during their spiritual awakening. So for instance, we're just literally going to launch a new Facebook group and an Instagram group that will be filled with a whole heap of men at various stages on their spiritual journey. And where it's a safe space. I hate to use that word because of, the connotations that come with it, but it's a place where they can openly express and find support for their experience. Because there was a point where, there's been several points where I'm having profound experiences that as a guy, you wouldn't normally tell people about. Yeah. And you generally
yourself, you're finding so you're opening up more to men.
I mean, I'm pretty open now, but when it first started I'm having these things come in, I'm like they're going to think I'm going mad.
Yeah. So what exactly, you don't have to go into great detail, but actually, no, it's a better one. So what do you find more common that when you kind of label it as spirituality and men are starting to open up to other men and express themselves, what do you find is the main thing that is sort of connecting people to that topic, if that makes sense? Like, so if you find more and more men are opening up spirituality, like what have you found that connects the similarities between the people you're talking to? Like, is there people that have had like a bad childhood, or is it people that have had they're just tapped into a frequency or tapped into a vibration?
Most often it's those guys who say, all my life I've tried to fit in and I can't fit in. And there's just this one moment where something happens.
They have an aha moment?
Yeah. And then there's and that can be either through certain substances. Mine was meditation. I know others like that. Some people have, I've spoken to a few guys, particularly in the last week or two, who have seen entities their whole life.
Wow.
And they've got very powerful abilities, but they've hidden them.
When you say entities, do you mean like because sometimes you can have a bit of a dream state where you don't know.
In a waking state.
Yeah. But like, you could dream and you feel like something's so real. But I mean, like, are they in this sort of physical like day-to-day reality? They're actually seeing what
100%, like a spirit, human figure that's not physically there.
That's kind of sort of good. I think this is a bit of a segue into what my talking point was the men's mental health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's intricately tied in. Yeah.
I think I was having a conversation with my friend today and it was about sort of like, let's say we're coming out late teenage years and we experiment with alcohol, and then we go in our early 20s, like we form like a bond with, say, like-minded people. But then, we all disconnect ourselves from those friends because some might stay in that path of still drinking, some might get married, some might have kids. And you find and when you get up to your late 20s, early 30s, you tend to lose connection with those people because people move on. You get new friends, new groups, stuff like that. But you might get that one friend that's still in their 20s, where you kind of try and reach back out to those old friends and drag them back into those sort of party wild days. And it's like, remember this moment, remember that moment, da-da-da. And I think that if this kind of well, these are two different conversations, but how I can explain it. But when I was talking to my friend about this, it was like, the answer to that and reflecting on those sort of past days was that it was almost like some form of trauma or some form of masking, where now if you were to reflect on those experiences when you were wild and loose, it's not to go, damn, I miss those days. It's sort of do like, I've come far because I've changed in so many ways, because I might have had a separated family, or I might have had been picked on at school, or I might have been bullied, or, all of these different things that cause you to drink. But yet some men are still in their early 30s, 40s, carrying that sort of, that masking, that Band-Aid sort of thing, where then snowballs and spirals into, say, mental health, where, with ego and everything that ties into that, you won't sort of drop your guard down and surrender by opening up and showing your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses, because it kind of exposes yourself, but you won't interact with man to man to fix yourself, if that makes sense. So you put that guard up and you're still living that life.
So from my perspective, this is like multifaceted, right? So it starts with that, we have that moment when we're young, and alcohol seems to be a rite of passage in our society. So I can look at perhaps in past times we had rituals, and I'm right into the idea of ceremony and rituals and rites of passage. So but rites of passage these days consist of alcohol. Yeah. And I think that's partly where it starts. So initially it starts as probably an innocent rite of passage.
Yeah. When you say rite of passage, what do you exactly?
Well, you're like, particularly, let's look at it from manhood. Yeah. You're coming into manhood. Yeah. It's having a beer. Yeah. That's, whereas, you can look at Indigenous Australia and you would go walkabout. You would literally be sent out to survive as a man. And if you came back, you came back. If you didn't. And virtually all civilizations at various times have had some sort of ceremony, whether it's, something shorter, or some of them where they remove something.
Yeah. You've seen those, I don't think it's Fiji, it might be Papua New Guinea, where like they tie their feet with that bamboo, and they just jump off that platform. Yeah. Like slingshot with vines.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things. And I think cultures have used even substances,
ayahuasca.
Yeah. To wisen, and this stuff wisens people up. Here we go, first thing we go to is alcohol. And then at some stage we do start to often realize we have traumas, and then we've already got that numbing agent. Yeah. So that starts.
Do you reckon it's like sort of a trap to the system?
100%.
Do you reckon it's deliberate?
Oh, 100%. I mean, if alcohol was a new product, it would be banned. We wouldn't be able to have it.
Do you know that alcohol back in the day was a competition to petrol?
It doesn't surprise me.
That's why it was a competition to petrol. That's why I don't know the full story, but anyway.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, and it makes sense.
Yeah. But, you couldn't use it for your car because it was competition for petrol, but then, then you had those people that used to make the moonshine and the boot runners or bootleggers, whatever they called them. And I think it was like illegal all the way up until the early, I don't know, like 1900s, alcohol was, but it's fucking poison.
Well, but and then you wonder if part of it's intentional to leave it here because they do want you numb. And I mean, people need something to help them to survive in a world that's built counter to human spirit. So, I mean, our biggest aim is to find a job we like. I mean, you're going to spend your whole life when you come out of school to find that job that you do till you die.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the reality. I mean? That's the reality of it, but not many people actually find themselves in it. Like I found myself 35 and not knowing, like not even locked into a career. I wasted 15 years, like from say like 15, 16, I got into the work sort of place, but I didn't know that this was me for the rest of my life. I was just like give me the money Friday and let me go out and party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, so, anyway, continue. I cut you off.
Yeah. No, but it's true. I mean, even now, I'm only just getting to where I want to be and where I'll be doing something that I could comfortably and happily do for the rest of my days. But I've been working in a trade since I was young, and at times just doing work for that paycheck at the end of the week that was literally mind-numbing. I mean, I think I had an experience when the virus came along, or alleged virus, and work had quietened down. I had to do something. So I ended up getting some work with Star Trek, which is a freight company for anyone that doesn't know in Australia. So that was good money, about $40 a night, and that was fine. And then the company...
Not $40 a night.
Sorry, $40 an hour. And
sex workers get more than
I could have tried that, but no one came.
Literally.
That lasted for a while, but then being a company connected to Australia Post, they used the pandemic as an excuse to cut back on workers and get a cheaper workforce in, foreign students. So I ended up working at a different Australia Post depot for less money, but they stuck me, because I can do physical work, they stuck me in a container for about 12 hours a day unloading boxes. I did not see sunlight. I would get my half an hour break twice. One of it was at night. The other one I would go out for half an hour just to try and get a little glimpse of sunlight. Anyway, after about 4 months of that, I literally one day in the back of a trailer began to break down, and I've never done it in my life.
What do you mean, like cry?
I literally had, like, I was holding it back. My mate went for lunch, and I'm in there on my own, and I'm like, look where I'm at. Like, this is just, because I'm one of those people. There has to be meaning. There has to be that deeper meaning. I can't play the game. And I mean, a couple of days later, I didn't tell anyone about this, but I was at home, and we had like Gaia or something like that, the TV, internet TV channel on. And this show came on, and it started depicting city life. And then it started doing that whole thing where it was talking about how it was counter to human nature, and really playing into that situation that I was in. And man, my wife's sitting right there, and I couldn't stop. I was having a breakdown, literally having a breakdown. And I've never done it in my life. I've always been extraordinarily outgoing. But this got me to the point where I was like, breaking point. And
you still doing that work?
No.
Oh yeah.
No, we didn't. No, not at all. But I mean, it had its advantages because I'd always been self-employed, and that might have been part of it as well. So I was literally owned by the company. So they would say, do you want to do overtime? You had the option, but you didn't have the option. You had to say yes, or they'd get rid of you. So we were doing, like, my days essentially were 14 hours. We'd travel and all that. I didn't see my children, all of that, but I got a wonderful gift in that I connected with some of the most amazing people you'll ever meet that work there, but their life was literally,
that's it,
do that job,
clock on and clock off. And
some of them would go and work another job in the morning before they came in, like just hours. And you got to see how they become rats in a wheel. And
that's it. Yeah.
There's no out because there's no time for an out. So people go, oh, well, why don't you go and improve yourself? And there's no time for that. You have to stop at some stage to have rest, and they just don't have that option.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way we're all conditioned, like, it's like we think, like, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of us live from paycheck to paycheck. Yes. You know, we're not anything. No. Like, we're not really anything. Like, we eat, like, you know, we eat takeaway food, we go through drive-through, we eat junk food, not we as, but like, you know, your 9 to 5s, you know, you're rushing through that door to come home, to sit on the lounge, watch Netflix, you know, and you wake up the next day and you just walk back through that door, work again, and eat when you get told to eat, you know, and it's taking up your life. And then when you look at it, you think about, like, how much money do you get? You know, like, you get enough to just pay the bills, or you get enough to get you by, you get enough just to, you know, that is us, you know, and it's just that conditioning sort of side of it. And next minute before you know it, you know, you're almost dead, and you look back, you're like, I haven't really lived, you know. And I think that, you know, either sort of we're being conditioned like that, like to either be like these slaves, like you said, like, you know, rats.
It's modern day slavery.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah. But like we're in this hypnosis, like where we think that, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like you look at sort of the growth of sort of not mentors, but like, say like your Tony Robbins or your Gary V's, or Grant Cardone. You look at those public speakers, right? I kind of look back at, like, say from 2012 after that Mayan calendar event, that you've seen the rise of more public speakers or more people coming out to say, no, like you don't need that, or you don't need to do this. You know, there's other ways to earn a living.
Absolutely.
But because of all the flashiness of materialistic things, we think we need that $10,000 Louis Vuitton bag, or those, you know, that $20,000 watch. And I'm never going to get it. Never save. Like, but realistically, all you need is just need to eat. That's it, and pay your bills, and then put all your money in something, you know, whether it's investing or whatever, and to get yourself out of that and just use that job to get money, to use money to go somewhere else, not make that job, you know, be your life. And that's what you're strapped into, because you need that purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be something outside of all that. A lot of people, you know, literally
I wonder too, though, whether, I mean, we need to learn what fulfills us. So like a lot of people are buying these things to fill a hole.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
And it's a temporary fix, which pretty quickly comes around. And I know people like this. And
I know people that buy a car almost every year or 2 years.
The next thing. And I mean, I've had like my life has gone through an incredible shift over the last 2 years, but the last 6 months has been unbelievable. And I've literally realized what it is to start to live a purpose, and a very deep purpose. And I might not necessarily have financial abundance right now, but I feel unbelievably abundant. And abundance is a feeling. And I know
like
that
freedom,
at some point,
sort of freedom.
Yeah. But,
are you literally self-employed now, or you?
Yeah. I'm still self-employed. Yeah.
You're not.
Yeah,
so you're not.
But I spend most of my time working on my projects that I know that down the line will lead to this cyclical effect of coming back.
I think that's where it's at.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot more people talk about community, you know, because I think that the more you sort of shift from shift into community, the more you're disconnecting from that rat life, you know, that you're just the cog in the wheel. You know, you're relying on the system, you're relying on the government, you're relying on Tracy Grimshaw to tell you when you're allowed out your home, or you're relying on what the government tells you you can do or you can't do, and you know, fear, you know. And I think if you find that community, get that sort of breakaway sort of part, you know, and I think throughout time it's always been there, but I just think now with the technology that we have, it's kind of evolved within a way, because we've got all of this sort of stuff to connect us, you know, like where before you find like the if I say it right, but the, you know, like the Amish or the specific religion sort of thing. So this now is like, say like the spiritual awakening sort of movement is like the 2.0 of what religion or Christianity used to be, or churches used to be, you know. So it's sort of evolved into something more where it's like, well, we don't need that, you know, we need this to make us be true to ourselves,
absolutely,
you know, connected to ourselves, and all of these other things. But you know, it's funny that the timing of it, though, you know, like it's all like, well, you know, like it's like it's meant to be. You know, like
100%. I mean, as much as we want to complain about technology and how, you know, like we know the negative side effects of it, but you know, and then we look at what's happened in the last 12 months, something specifically designed to disconnect us from each other has completely failed, because people are now more connected than ever online. I'm involved with organizations, a global organization bringing together an event that'll get probably over 1 million people viewing this year for the week of that event.
Is it a virtual
huge.
event or?
Yeah. So it's a they're called Unity Earth, and they used to do caravans across war-torn countries and all these sorts of places promoting unity. So they bring religious groups, racial, like anyone you can name, and they had these magical events. They've had the Dalai Lama involved, Deepak Chopra. I know varying opinions on him at the moment, but he's involved in it.
He's not the one with the 3 white lines over his forehead, is he?
No.
I know who he is.
So, yeah.
He's got like wears the glasses, curly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So Deepak, funnily enough, just did a video with the organisation today. They now, because of the
World Economic Forum. No,
not related. No.
Different one.
No, so they're called World Unity Week. They're actually started by a guy in Melbourne, Ben, fabulous guy. And last year they had to go. They couldn't do their usual caravan, so they had to go online. They had 6 weeks prep, and they managed to get 750,000 views to the week-long event. This year, obviously, they're looking to build on that. I was lucky enough. How it works is it's like a virtual conference, and there's all different rooms. So imagine a conference where you can go, I want to go into this room. They're covering ecology, feminine. Well, I was given the job of bringing together the masculine. So we've got 4 days. We've literally 4 days of 20 hours a day of content to bring out.
Do you have content?
Yeah, well, I've booked a reasonably high-profile guest today, which is really good. I'm pretty excited about. We've got them lining up. We'll be running workshops and all sorts of.
So you got to speak for 20 hours.
I don't know, but I've got to co-steward. I've got to steward it and make sure that everything happens. I've got guys that are helping out, but I was out of nowhere given the lead on it. And
you scared?
No,
nervous?
not at all.
Nervous?
No,
okay.
No, excited.
So when does this take place?
This takes place in late June, I think.
Is it free?
Yeah, absolutely, 100% free.
Not saying
no, but that's the whole point.
So what's it called?
It's called World Unity Week.
World Unity Week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Late June.
Late June, so I think it runs from the 20, and I should know this, 21st to the 26th.
I'll put a link up under this video.
It'd be worth it. But one of the speakers I booked today is his name's David G. He's a meditation coach, just an absolute magician with words. Like he will bring just pure magic to the event. I'm chasing Pete Evans at the moment to talk about standing in your power. He's a perfect example of a masculine who put everything on the line to, put aside political views and opinions, because the event doesn't want to become political. But Pete Evans literally stood as a man should stand up and take action when he sees wrongdoing being done. So, looking at getting him.
When you said about everything that happened in the last 12 months, did you feel like a dark force? Did you feel like a dark? You felt like a darkness force.
The elite. We all know what we're talking about. A cabal that wants to wants control.
Such a weird thing, because I seen the darkness. I felt the darkness. It was like you could see the entities into this dimension coming out. It was like the commanders on the TV or the programming station had been hijacked.
Yeah.
Like it was like, what? Like there must be some, say this all backwards and so fast, but the elites use honeypot traps.
Yeah.
And they use specific things to get you trapped. I look at Dan Andrews' handling last year and you're just like, oh, what have you done? Go and look at Dan Andrews pre that 2019, you'll see all these photos of him, and he's over in a specific place and stuff. And that place that he's at, they're well known for honeypot traps. And all they do is they see you get off your plane, and someone will escort you, whether it's a blonde girl, cute and sexy, and the next minute, here's a drink. Oh, hey, stroke your ego. Oh, we're going to come and you know, we're going to give you billions of dollars of infrastructure. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Next minute, boom, booms, 12 o'clock. He's in a motel, getting his dick sucked by the Bond girl. And there's photos, there's video cameras. 1 month later, they get presented to him like, you better bend over backwards or else. But it's you know, you don't hear nothing. Next minute, they're in power.
Yeah.
Next minute, knock on the door. Remember that time you slipped up? Well, if you want to keep your family, if you want to do this, you know, you better, you know, and it's like, oh, globally, it's like everybody was just following the same orders.
And that's the whole, I mean, that's the whole, we look at the stuff with Epstein. That's what that was about. They were extorting, you know, they were involved in extorting high profile people.
Maybe that was all the whole checkmate of it all.
Yeah.
You know, maybe so weird, eh?
Yeah.
It's
a whole nother world. And it's, you know what? There's been people talking about this for years. And I can remember hearing it and thinking, sort of believing it, but not really thinking it's real. And then look at what's happened over 2012. Not 2012. It's 2019 to 2020.
Yeah, it's so we'll go back to that quickly. I just want to throw this in, but it's so weird because it's like we woke up from that hypnotic spell. Yeah. It's like all those people on the TV wouldn't do that. No. Prince Andrew wouldn't do that. You know, Bill Gates wouldn't do that. Why would they do that? You know, like the worst you knew was Bill Clinton getting his, you know, diddling that's Monica Lewinsky. Yeah. You know, it was the worst you heard. But it's funny how they sweep it under the rug, right? It's funny how next minute Hillary Clinton is running for presidency. And like, think about this, right? Think about you're a boss, and I'm got to word this correctly. It's been a long day for me.
Yeah.
Think about you're a boss, and I'm trying to get a job with you, right? How can I put this? Anyway, my example being like, imagine going for a job completely knowing that you've led this unfaithful life, you've slept around, you've cheated, and like, you know, like how Hillary Clinton's come into the space, like, hey, I'm going to save him. You're like, hang on, you're that bitch whose husband was getting the dick sucked in, you know what I mean? Like, imagine going for a job with a similar sort of thing going, hey, like, can you employ me? Like, you're just like, fuck off.
And then she claims that she's an empowered woman.
Yeah. That the Clintons are very powerful.
Oh, absolutely.
Very, but like until you hear people talk about it, it's like it's just a very quiet sort of whisper that they talk. But it only come to me probably a couple of weeks ago when someone said it this way, and they're like, Hillary Clinton has been in some form of power in the background, you know, Senate, governor, this, that, first lady, you know, from the late 70s, early 80s, into the 90s, into the early 2000s, she's always been high up. So think about the amount of paperwork that came over her desk that she had to sign for approval.
Yeah.
The Clintons basically are the corporation of America, where they've signed this, they've signed that, they've done this, they've done all these things, and they are like a $1 trillion company within themselves. And you do not know that because the whole organization of them, you know, they're like a generation of the sort of the George Bush seniors, and they all went to that school, and they all went to, you know, in the Skull and Bones sort of cults, and it's like all these little kids have grown, you know, have come out and they've created their own sort of network of, you know, corruption.
Absolutely. And I mean, those tentacles extend into and Australia.
And I think that that's what's happened. I think that in the background, somebody's been playing some chess and been taking them apart and picking them apart, you know, and I think that, you know, the Vatican, the British Empire, the American corporation, I think that somebody has checkmated them, you know, and I think that the last 12 months, that's why everybody's playing ball. That's why it's the same narrative in New Zealand. That's why it's the same narrative in England, Canada. You know, they're all singing the same. No one's standing up and going, fuck that, that's bullshit. Everyone's like, oh, like, we all know this virus is a fucking bogey hoax.
And that's what you're spot on. And what I find interesting is just earlier, I was on, every now and then I look at news.com.au because I find they do little polls and I find them funny. And they did one on about taking the jab. And literally 52%.
It's gone up. It's like 60 something.
Really said they're not going to take it. You know, like, so if we're waking up to it, but they're still pushing it that hard, like they really are out of touch and obviously perhaps compromised.
Well, I think the argument, the argument's not vaxxer or anti-vaxxer.
No,
like that. It's not that. It's the argument now. Like my friend shared me something that Candice Owens said, and it was like this debate, like this is something that's 12 months old. We need to move forward. This whole vaccine is just for a population control. That's it. Like if it is that or if it's not, but I think that we've woken up. You know, we're starting to tap into that secret that they've been trying to keep silent for so long. We're waking up and we're going, well, we're not fucking slaves anymore to you lot. You know, we're starting to make change. We're starting to shift. You know, we're starting to make our own decisions. We're starting to say, get fucked. You know, like we're not fighting your walls anymore. We're not doing this. We're standing up. Although we're not really standing up on mainstream as much as what we should be because we're being deplatformed and cancelled and, you know, all of this fucking types of shit. But, you know, in the background, we're growing in sort of numbers, you know, but their sort of return serve is fucking the mainstream plugged in sort of matrix crew with the LGBTQ community, the Black Lives Matter, you know, the pants poly, pansexual, the vegans, this, that. Hardcore vegans, right? Not you know, but like the city folks, you know, like it's like all leftist, all Democrat, or you can't say this, you can't say that. You know, they've created that to fight this, you know, and that.
But a lot of that, like a lot of those, they're manipulated people. They're no real different to the people that are watching the news every night thinking they know everything. They've just been manipulated. I mean, you look at the Black Lives Matter movement.
All of those people, though,
go on.
But like you find that they are the mental illness of society. They are the ones on bad prescription medicines. They are the ones that are masking the trauma. They are the ones that are fucking using, prescription meds, doing the alcohol, MDMA, all of these things, highs and lows and highs and lows, where they're going online to the avatar world to seek community, to find people as fucked up as them, to go into the crowds, to march with them and go, I'm on your side, you know, rather than, you know, doing what you're saying about what you found men are doing. They're letting it all out, you know, finding the problem. It's like, hey, like, you know, waving the white flag and going, fuck, it's me. I fixed it. I've changed it. I don't need that fuel, that rage, that hatred, that fucking, if you don't believe me, you know, like
it's true.
What, last year through the presidency, people were like, on the streets through the Trump campaign, and they're like, fuck Trump, death to America. But then at the same time, they're screaming they want unity, they want peace. You know, Black Lives, George Floyd, and you're like, you guys are fucked up. And this is what mainstream's breeding.
Yep, absolutely.
It's just crazy,
it's just part of the manipulation. And there's another strategy: divide and conquer. If you can divide the people, then they'll conquer themselves. You know, you have them fighting amongst themselves. They're not going to bother with you.
But like, you know, with that as well, there's good and bad in all of it. You know, and I mean, I think that's
true.
You know, like, I mean, is it as bad and as dark and as like, are they gonna like? Yes, it's psychological warfare. Yes, it's a spiritual war. Yes, there's good and evil on two sides. We kind of look at it, well, I speak for myself kind of, but like that they might win because we know their end game. You know, we know the New World Order. We know, you know, the one world government. We know what they want. I like one of my closest friends thinks that we've got 10 years until they succeed, you know, but.
And does he think they will, or he or she think they will succeed?
I'll have to ask him. I say to him, I say to him though, like, you know, we're winning.
Are you sure it identifies as him? Have you asked?
Yeah, he fucking does. He does. Yeah, he does. He's definitely, yeah, no, he's on our side. But no, yeah, he does. He definitely does. Because we tease the others. We're just like how fucked up everything is.
Yeah.
People are so confused these days. They don't even know what gender they are, what sex they are, pans, poly, pansexual. That's them, like you're referring to. But in a weird way, like there's a community of people that will not say whether they're gay, straight, or lesbian. It depends on what they're attracted to at the time. And there's actually a name for it. Yeah. Like they've created a name and it's pans poly, pansexual. Yeah. And it's fucking weird, and it's like,